If some is good, more is better. At least you're listening to this podcast. We hope it's better. Jeff and I had so much to talk about prospects before the trading deadline. We decided to give you a bonus episode where we banter about our prospect rankings and maybe some trade value.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's bonus show of Locked On Guardians. I'm not even in the right angles here, but today's episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. Man, not being very professional. SupplyHouse.com is a reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. I did not get a chance to pull up a new number, but I did want to tell you that the 43 was for WUAB 43, for those who have been guessing at things. For those who do not know me, I'm Jeff Ellis, one of the original hosts here of Locked On. From the very beginning, all like probably approaching 1,300 episodes of this podcast, I've been here. Before that, I was a lead draft and prospect analyst at Scout and 24/7. And before that, I was your 30th, favorite writer at every Cleveland sports blog that has or will existed. And I did write for Prospects Live this very week, so you can go check out if you want more of my content. I was in their draft review piece. Oh, and I'm going to be Tuesday on 97.1 in Columbus at approximately 2:33 if you want even more of me.
Who doesn't want more of Jeff? I'm Justin Latta, the other co-host. Maybe you want less of me, but you might have seen me showcasing my work. I'm using this joke 2 episodes in a row. I'm sorry. At GuardiansBaseballInsider.com, where I was once the editor and also now freelancing at the Morning Journal and the News Herald and Prospects Live sometime, not with the draft stuff, but maybe sometime in the second half I'll have something for Prospects Live, and that's more of off-season work for me. All right, so this is a bonus episode. We are going to talk prospects. We have a lot of requests for us to talk more about rankings. And what usually happens is Jeff and I will banter about prospects. We'll talk about our rankings and other guys. And we're like, we should just record this because, this would be a good episode because people have asked us for a lot of this and we never record it. I'm like, we need to save this for an episode. But then we don't have time because we're limited by 30 minutes and we're still limited by 30 minutes here. But we actually are just going to do this the entire show because we already cover everything on Monday. And maybe we'll get to more Bazana stuff and draft stuff here, but then we'll get to our normal Tuesday episode on Tuesday. So where do you want to start, Jeff? The first thing we were debating off air was we were talking about the Baseball America rankings, and I was like, can't argue with their top 6. Like maybe some different orders, but like the guys they had in their top 6, I was like, I can't argue with that. It's a pretty clear-cut group. Like, I guess I have Hanau lower. I actually did my pre-deadline rankings over on next year at cleveland.substack.com if you want to read more. I can always tweet that link or put it somewhere, but I guess I was a little lower on Hanau than some of the consensus, so I can believe that. I had Doughty a lot higher than other people do. Maybe I'm too high on Doughty, but the top grouping, like we both have Bazana 1. I still have Manzardo 2. I have Brito 3, and then I have Ralphie 4. And then I have Angel Martinez 5 right now. I probably should make that DeLauder instead of him. I should have. I'm not going to change it now because I've already written about it. But I'm still going to buy in on some of the changes Martinez has made to his profile. I think it's going to be. Plus, he can play the outfield now. Like he's a good defender at multiple positions. He's got speed and there's a little more pop than we thought. But that top group of hitters, like I just can't believe that there's no pitchers in that top group. That's my thought.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 7 hitters in a row to lead it off. So that's where I am. Bazana Manzardo.
My first pitcher's 8. Yeah.
Mine is 8 as well. And it's Doughty there. But Bazana Manzardo, we agree. Those are 1 and 2. I have Ralphie 3. I've been I just believe in the bat, whether or not he plays. And it goes back to a year ago. Or goes back to, I should say, this draft, but actually all the stuff we talked about in this year's draft goes back to a year ago where, listen, you and I talked off air and we get some interesting stories that we can't even talk about. Just guys who make very poor decisions, guys who get in fights with teammates.
Just don't want to play baseball.
Guys who don't show up. The guys who decide that they have no love for baseball and don't even show up. I know you're all saying spill the tea. We can't. It's unfortunately the way it is. Maybe once these guys are completely out of baseball, we can tell some stories like a year after they're done. We can start sharing those stories. We'll put it that way. But starting with Ralphie was really like this guy where I heard first about the intangibles and then about the player. He's a really good player, but it started with him. So I have him at 3. I really believe in that profile. I got Brito at 4. I know Everydayer Dave Wendell is talking about how we shouldn't get sucked in by recency bias. It's not recency bias. It's the last 2 years of data and him figuring out AAA. I've got Churio 5. I think that I don't know. Again, Sterling reports he needs to get, moved quickly. I really believe in him. Martinez has moved himself up to 6 on my list with his performances. It's quite the jump. And here's DeLauder at 7. Why is DeLauder 7? People are going to get mad because I know that a lot of people view him as I don't even think he's an option for the start of next year right now. Like, yeah, he came back and he fell right back into hitting, but he missed 2 months again this year. You have to be available. And his health is the worst on this team outside of Espino. Like, that's just the truth of the matter. It's the worst health grade I would give any player outside of Espino. And I know we don't really give grades on health, but we probably should. It's just
that's a good point. No, I never thought about that. You're right. I think you can give a grade on health.
Yeah.
You just go like I was trying to explain to a friend the other day about Jazz Chisholm. We talked about Jazz on our normal Monday episode, and he was all in on Jazz. And I was like, I looked it up. If not counting this year, not counting 2020 because 2020, and I'm not counting his rookie year. So if you look at 2023 or 2022 and 2023, he played in less than 50% of games that he could have played in. So like that's a below average rating for health. And DeLauder, I don't think DeLauder is an option until he plays over 100 games. He's never played 100 games of baseball in his life. The most he's ever played was like over 70, and that was in between college and the Cape. So like, I think he's got to play 100 games first. I just do. I think you need to see him get through a whole season healthy, or at least the majority of it before you call him up.
Yeah, I think there's just been health is such a concern, and it pushes him down so much for me. So he's 7. I mean, the ceiling is fantastic, and he was great all spring. And then he actually he was having a bad year to start the year before the injury. He was not performing at a super high level. So all the traits are there for him to be special. I could look really, very silly in a year. And then I have Doughty as my first pitcher at 8. He's currently my number 1 pitcher in the system.
I know he's mine too, and it's just it's because of Espino's health.
Yeah,
it's because Cantillo can't throw strikes, and then there's just nobody else that nobody. I don't even think Alex Clemmy. There's nobody in the system that matches from a pitcher standpoint what Espino can do, and his health is third 20 grade too.
And I wonder if Peterson had gotten a proper push. I mean, they moved that guy so slowly that maybe he'd be higher, but it's like
Peterson's my third arm. He's my first college arm. The rest, my first 2 pitchers on my board are my list are Doughty and Oki. I have Oki above Peterson because I mean the floor with Peterson's fine. And I think I told this to you. Did I say this on the regular episode or off the air? And I said I think there's like a little bit of Charles Nagy, not quite Cliff Lee, but like a poor man's Cliff Lee to Peterson's game. But I need to see it at AAA. And I know we haven't seen Doughty or Oki at all, but that's how prospect rankings work sometimes. You're kind of banking on upside for the future. I used to get bothered by how much Pipeline would rank
ceiling
the new draft picks. No, like you would always see like these guys who have performed or haven't performed, and they would put the draft picks ahead of them. And I'm like, well, these guys haven't done anything. Why are you ranking the draft picks ahead of them? And it's because you're doing it based on potential. They haven't failed yet. When they fail, they'll adjust if they do or they don't. But like the year they put Tanner Burns really high, and I was like, okay, like that's interesting. And then obviously they adjusted after that. But like, when you're doing these lists, you're kind of balancing health, floor, ceiling, risk, and the ceilings of Doughty and Oki are so big. The risks are also huge. Peterson's floor is probably decent. I don't know that it's so decent that I could say I don't know if it's safe enough. You know what I mean? Like I think the floor for Peterson's good, but the potential for him to reach his floor, I think, isn't quite enough where I could say I'm projecting him higher. Like at one time I had Eric Haas really high on my list because I thought very, very, very strongly that Haas could be an average maybe a fringe average major league starter, or maybe a good backup, which he was. I thought it was safe enough for me to project his value. And I'm saying I'm not there with Peterson yet, but Doughty and Oki are just, potential sky high.
Yeah, I have the same three. I'm sure everyone is shocked. So just, I guess you didn't completely fill out your top 10, so I won't before the first break. But just I'll come back and talk about like why I have Oki one spot ahead of Peterson and why Doughty's ahead of both of them when we come back from the other side of this break.
Sounds good. Lots more prospect talk on a bonus episode. Hope you guys are enjoying.
But first, let's talk about the good people at Stitch Fix. Listen, this is a shirt my daughter made, and I love it to death. But would I love to look better? Absolutely. This is not exactly a high fashion statement, but it means a lot to me. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But there are times where you want to look good. You want to look your best, put on your best. And that's what Stitch Fix is going to do for you. You get a stylist who understands your style, size, and budget, and they do the shopping for you. And they're going to send you a box. Like I said, my wife uses and loves this service. Like we get Stitch Fix boxes all the time. They're going to send you 5 pieces, typically a month, I believe. And they're going to give you advice and they're going to help you. This is the easiest way to get a new wardrobe. If you're needing to get a new professional wardrobe, you send things back, and it's almost like it's people can learn just like AI, right? So they're going to learn, they're going to get you better stuff. You're going to love the way you look, style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $20 off your first fix. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $20 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Offer does not include kids' fixes.
Check out the Locked On Sports Today feed over on YouTube, the Amazon Fire TV channels. The trade deadline going on. You might see our faces if the Guardians do some things, and you'll see hosts from other teams as well jump in and talk about the trades this week. If you want analysis from local hosts that know your team the most, check out the Locked On Sports Today feed over on YouTube and your Amazon Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports, Locked On Podcast Network. Geez, your team every day. And every day we cover prospects. We're doing it today on a bonus episode. All right, Jeff, you want to talk about why you have Doughty over Oki, or was it Oki over?
No, I've got Doughty. Doughty is my Doughty has a bit of a gap between him and the next group. He's at 8 and Oki is 11. And Doughty is
same for me.
He's got a better pitch mix overall. He's a better athlete. Oki's a fine athlete, but Doughty's a solid athlete. I think he's got some higher spin rates, and he's gotten more developed starters mix. That's why he's a bit higher. Oki's right now a 2-pitch guy. They're both potentially plus pitches. He has the bonus of, he follows me on Twitter and Doughty doesn't. So maybe I should flip him just for that.
That's how we're going to do things from now on.
And that's just how it's going to be. I'm going to be like that Cleveland guy who makes his list based on that. But no, instead, Oki's a 2-pitch guy, great athlete. His stuff backed up a little. He got really overused by his high school coach, which was not ideal, but he's got a really high floor. My buddy Taylor Blake Ward was always like, Troy Percival was who we kept seeing. So maybe he ends up being a reliever. I think he's got a chance to be a 2-3 type. I think Doughty is a 2-3 type as well. Peterson, he's got monster extension. He has dominated every level. I love when people are like, welcome to the bandwagon. I'm like, I liked him out of UConn. Like, I don't go back to his Purdue days, but like when he got drafted, I was jumping up and down. Like, this was a guy I liked at UConn who performed very well at that conference level. And I was always like, why are they moving him so slowly? And then now it's like, no, all of you are joining me on this bandwagon. I think it's a really safe profile. I think the more advanced data we get on him, the better it looks. And, I know people keep saying Shane Bieber, like, that's just an unfair comp. I get it. Like, Shane Bieber only walked like 8 guys 1 year in the minors as well. Who else did that? Thomas Eshelman. And if you don't know who Thomas Eshelman is, that's the other side of it. But I like Peterson's got better stuff. Eshelman was smaller, did not have anywhere near the extension. So I think he has a very good chance to be like a potentially somewhere between a 3 to a 5. But you can see the difference where he's probably more of a 4. The other guys have legit a number 2 ceiling. I'm going to take the lead and then kick it back to you after this. Let's just finish the top 10. We've kind of tipped around. So Oki is 11 and Peterson is 12 for me. So you're like, okay, who's 9 and 10? Kafis right now is 9. His performance has been spectacular this year. My one caveat is with the way things have gone, he really hasn't faced teams multiple times. And that's a big deal because teams and players adapt. And I've seen guys like it's the Wes Hodges corollary. If you're not into this long enough to know Wes Hodges, who was, I think, a draft eligible sophomore out of Georgia Tech, who back in the days when this was the worst minor league system of baseball, people complain now. You have no idea what it was like back then when I started covering in like '06 and '07.
I remember those days. It's bad.
It was ugly. And Hodges had fantastic. He moved quickly through the minors and had fantastic half seasons and got people very excited and then never made it to the big leagues. And I've seen that happen with a few guys. So in some respects, it's great when a guy moves quickly, but you also kind of need to see a guy stabilize at a level. So you see what happens when teams and players face that guy multiple times. Do they figure things out? You know, that's something we haven't seen with Kefis yet. So everything he's done has been fantastic. If he can keep it up, great. And then Angel Janau was another guy that, bounced back. He was not great a year ago. We were all kind of waiting on it. And this year he is just murdering baseballs. Like of any middle infielder in the system, it's Janau, Bazana, and Mooney probably are the three that have the best power profile amongst infielders, middle infielders up to middle types. But yeah, he's got a lot of power. He's really emerging this year. I think he's probably one of their better trade assets.
Mooney or Hanau?
Hanau.
Yeah. I agree with you on Hanau, and we would almost have the same top 10. Where did you have Burrito? Where's Burrito for you?
Burrito was 4.
Okay, I have him 3. What's your top 3?
Bazana, Manzardo, Ralphie.
Okay, so we only flipped on Burrito and Ralphie. I should move Ralphie up.
But no, because I have Churio at 5,
okay.
Martinez 6, Delauder 7.
Martinez 5.
Yeah, we're
a little bit off in the top 10 there, yeah. And Jeff and I haven't seen each other's list. We're just talking this through. I probably should move Ralphie up a little bit because I got if you listen to Guardians of the Future, which I recorded an episode that's dropped on Monday, go listen to that with Hillcats broadcaster Jason Prill. Talked a lot about some good stuff on Ralphie and how impressed scouts were with him at the Futures game. And just everyone's impressed with him overall. And I think if there's one guy on my list that I don't want to trade, I think it's possibly him. I mean, obviously Bazana, but Velasquez is on that list for me. And the Hanau thing is really interesting. My issue is with Hanau is here's the caveat. I have a number 10. A lot of people are higher on him. I have some swing decision questions there because he's an aggressive hitter. And Cleveland just has a lot. He just falls into these types that we've had so far in the system that really scare me. So I shouldn't let another prospect, a completely prospect on his own, sway. I shouldn't let somebody else sway what I think about another prospect, which is why I'm sure people are like, wow, you guys haven't said a word about Welbin Francisco. And I'll talk about that in a second. But like, it's an aggressive profile. And how many times have we seen this, Jeff? Guys are aggressive. And people are like, well, sometimes aggressive is good. It's a very rare profile to work out. Like, again, Salvador Perez, Javi Baez, who's terrible right now. I know he had a home run against the Guardians last week, but Javi Baez aged poorly. He made that work for several years. Not a lot of guys can make it work. But I will say this, Hanau plus speed, absolutely plus speed. It's gap power, and he's got more than enough arm to play shortstop. I think he probably is a better defender at third than he is short. Long term, second base could work for him too, but it'd be a waste because he's got a great arm. I just worry about if he's going to be patient enough to hit at the next level. Like, you need some level of patience to reach your full offensive potential. Otherwise, you turn into an Oscar Gonzalez type. Some people are probably going to wonder, you guys haven't said a word about Welbin Francisco, and we talked about our top 10s. I have Doughty 8. I have Oki 11. I have Kefis above Hanau. And people think that we're low on Kefis. I don't think we're low on Kefis at all. I think we're high on Kefis because, truthfully, he hasn't proved it long term yet. The things he is doing well is he's hitting the ball in the air to his pull side. That's great. He does not have like elite level exit velocity, so he is a guy to maximize his power profile at first base. Has to get the ball in the air and then hit it over the fence or hit it to pull side to maximize his power. I don't know that he can really play the outfield. Like, he probably can, but it's not going to be like a really carrying tool for him. his carrying tool is going to be the hit tool. It is. He's going to have to make contact. He's going to have to pull the ball in the air, and he's going to have to take walks. The walks have gone down a little bit, Double-A. The strikeouts have gone up a little bit. I've seen him have issues with curveballs low. I think considering those issues and considering he is a first base only, mostly for the most part guy, I think we're high on him, having him in the top 10. I think other places are lower on him than we are, I have to say. So I think us having him in the top 10 says we're high on him. People think we're low on him, but I don't. And here, the Welbin Francisco thing too, we got to get a second break in here, but
yeah,
the Welbin Francisco thing, he hit great in the ACL. That's awesome. ACL data is worthless. ACL stats are worthless. And he's again, this, and I said this before about letting other people's failures or success dictate what I think of other players, but I've seen players with the same profile as we're hearing about with Welbin Francisco fail. They're the same things people are saying about Welbin Francisco.
Very similar to Rocchio, right?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It's very similar to Rocchio. It's similar to Aaron Bracho. It's similar to George Valera in some ways. We've heard this same profile over and over. And I know Welbin Francisco is his own player and people are high on him, but I can't take complex level stats seriously. I haven't seen him enough in person. I think we're going to see him in Lynchburg very soon.
Yeah,
but
he's 19th on my list.
I have him at 17, so we're close. I'm using other people's failures against him. It's not fair, but I just have seen this profile too many times, and I need to see it actually work out before I can really believe it. So that's why we're lower on Francisco than most. Also, again, ACL success to me doesn't mean
squad
a whole lot. Yeah. A lot of more fun stuff in the top 20. I want to talk, Jeff, about the catchers. I want to talk about how you feel about Cooper Ingle and Jacob Cozart specifically. all two of them. I did a top 50. So I've actually got 3 catchers in my top 50. I'm sure you can guess who that is, but I want to talk about those two specifically.
Logan Clark.
So that's what Logan Clark. Yes. I did 50 prospects just for his age as a prospect. Hope he's not listening to this. Yeah.
Seems like a great kid. Catchers. He's not had opportunities this year, which is typically not a good sign for a player's future.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of catching going on at Lynchburg either. So, which means you're going to see some college catchers at Lynchburg. That's going to be fun. We're going to talk about one of them in a second. I hope the Guardians are master traders. You know who's master traders? SupplyHouse customers are master traders. You can get supplies from the site that is made for skilled traders. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, electrical products online. They have an easy-to-use website that is packed with helpful resources, the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Look, their scouting reports are great. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts. Over 400 top brands. Get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping coast to coast. If you need help with an order, you can get expert support from industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and a discount on every order. Hopefully the Guardians get some discount trades. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free memberships at supplyhouse.com/T-M and order HVAC, plumbing, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. Check out the Guardians on your Sirius XM app during the Detroit series. Tuesday's a day game, Monday's a night game, so check the times there. Weird off day Wednesday after the trade deadline. That'll be interesting to see. All right. Really quickly, I should say this too. I have Cantillo 13. I have Walters 14. I struggled with them a little bit. Here's the thing with Walters, the good and bad with him. I know we talk catchers. The good thing with Walters and the bad thing with Walters is he's struggling. He had like I want to say 8 or 9 game stretch where he was scoreless, which was great. So I thought he was turning the corner. And then he had a terrible outing on Saturday for Columbus. Cleveland does like to see their prospects hit adversity before they call them up. Cleveland almost never wants to call a guy up that has not hit a bump in the road in the minors at any point, and not just injuries. So, like someone might say, "Well, DeLauder's hit a bump in the road. He's been hurt, but he hasn't struggled." Cleveland likes their prospects to struggle because they want to see how they come on the other side of those. They want to see them make the adjustments because you're going to fail a lot in the majors. You just are, especially hitters, not so much pitchers, but. I think it is at least worth noting that Walters is struggling in the minors, and I don't think it precludes him from coming up this year unless Jeff trades him to Texas for Josh Smith, which goes another episode for that.
I have him at 22. He's one of my big guys who dropped. If you're a reliever, I don't love putting you in the top 15 unless I think you're really, really special. And he does have that ceiling. But with some of the struggles this year, it just kind of made it easier to move him down with a few other guys moving up. So if I'm looking at my list, I talked about, having Peterson at 12. I have Cantillo at 13. And Espino for me is at 15. I have to keep him in the top 15 just because the ceiling there. And then I have almost all pitchers outside of, I mentioned Welbin at 19. 18, it's all pitchers. And then I have Cozart at 14. So speaking of catchers.
Yeah. So I don't want to say I cheated here, but I have Mooney above that too. And I have Messick in that group. I have Espino 18. So here's the thing about Cozart and Engel. We had Engel on the show, so obviously we love Engel. Cozart has more defensive upside. He's a more physical catcher. He's got a bigger arm.
Power.
There's power in the profile. I think Engel has better. I think Cozart has better physical defensive tools, which I think is going to allow him to be. I want to say he might have a higher floor. I hate to be unfair to Cooper, but I think Cozart might have a higher floor because of the defense. I like Cooper a lot. The pitchers like him. The pitchers like him. Yeah, but here's the other thing I weighed. Yeah, here's the other thing I weighed for Cooper though. Cooper's arm is average. I think it's okay. Cozart's is probably better. I think Engel does some other things better, like framing, some blocking. I know both these guys get on the mental side, which is super important. The up and down with Engel is it's all contact. It's not a lot of power. He is getting the more pull side power, but he hits more ground balls than fly balls. So like while he does tap into his power by hitting pull side fly balls, he's still hitting the ball on the ground a lot more than he's hitting in the air. So that's going to limit him a little bit. He doesn't have Cozart's power. And I don't like projecting guys that are very hit tool based, as we just had that conversation about Welwyn Francisca. But the reason I like Engel too is that I think Engel, there's a chance that he could be like, he played outfield in college, right? So like he could catch and also do some other things. So that makes his profile also a little more valuable. So it's like, I had a really hard time how I wanted to rank those two. So I ended up ranking Engel at 20 because he's already hitting. I just worry about, I had Cozart right behind him at 21, which feels like cheating a little bit because I just worry that Cozart's not going to make enough contact at the next level. But when he does, he can be powerful and he has the better defensive floor.
Yeah, I have Engel at 21 and Cozart at 14 because Cozart is a very good chance to be at least a platoon catcher with power and hit tool. I don't know if he's gonna be ever a full time. I think there's a better chance that Engel is in 130 a year. I don't even know if catchers catch that many anymore, but 120 games a year catcher. Where I think Cozart has a higher chance of success, but it'd be more of like a 90 game guy, more of a platoon role. He's got better power. Engel's got the hit tool, better athleticism. I think Cozart is probably his equal with framing, definitely has a stronger arm. He does basically everything you need to behind the plate. So that's why I have a 7-spot jump. You mentioned Messick. Messick is the third of my Akron arms. I have him down at 23. Just to give you, at 16, I have Webb, 17, Clemmy, 18 is Mooney. So I just missed him in there. 19, Welbin. And then 20 is Mobley with Engel at 21, Walters 22, Messick at 23. And I know there's people screaming, where's the Tugboat? He's 24 for me.
I have Tugboat at 26, so we're close. I like Ryan Webb as much as you do. I really struggled here. I probably should have put him a lot higher. I don't know why I dropped him so low. Because I think the reason I dropped him, I have him 27. I was much higher on Webb coming into the year. I was waiting for a little more consistency. And I think the fastball is super fringy. I have a hard time believing his fastball is going to be good enough at the next level. I like the curve and the change. I need more control from a guy that has a fastball that's kind of middling. That's my concern here. And I think the upside is more 5-6 starter-esque, which is closer to what Tugboat is. So this is where I got more aggressive with upside. I had John Kensington coming the year at 24. He's now 22 for me. I have Valera at 23 because I think there's a chance he could be a platoon bat that walks and hits home runs. That's valuable. And then I had Khalil Watson at 24 and Chase Mobley 25 because Watson's still got a moon full of potential. I can't pass that up. And then Mobley is the third of the high school arms I like the most. I had Brissanhan 28 just for context, and I had Rafael Ramirez 29. I wanted to put DeLucia and Schlesinger and Campbell or Sultan a little higher, but they're all in the back end of my top 20/early 30s.
So just, I guess at this point, since I said talking about the 24, Bresnan 25, Noel 26, Sullivan 27, Watson 28, Valera 29, and Franco Alamont 30.
Ooh, I dropped Alamont really far.
I still believe in the arm. It's a hiccup. Like listen, Janau and Martinez
availability.
And I know, but but he didn't have the issue before this year. So again, Janau and Martinez.
We also know he struggles to pitch back-to-back days.
I know, and Naylor all are guys who kind of told me, like, have taught me the lesson of, like, don't drop too much due to one down.
That's fair.
So that's where I'm kind of going there. The next grouping I've got kind of just guys thrown together like Ninkasi and Tana, and some of the names you mentioned. I also like Guy Lincecum. He's not really in this range, but I still think he's kind of a fun guy down the board. So with this grouping, I was gonna say again with Tugboat, he's probably a back end starter. Like, he's been fantastic, and again, I think he's a guy that as he continues to get in shape could be fantastic.
So you could add more on him,
yeah. But and the reason I don't know, Webb just continues to miss bats pretty consistently, and I still believe in his ability to miss bats. Messick, I don't know if there's anything plus there. It's like everything about that dude is a 50, which probably makes him
in control.
Yeah, but it's like, is any of that a 60? Is it just a 55? Like, I just don't know if there's a
the changeup could be 55. The changeup could be 55. I think.
I just don't see a lot of like. I'm always looking for a 60 trait or multiple 60 traits, and he's the one where I'm not sure if there's even one 60 trait. But I think he's a really solid potential 5. But I worry about beyond that.
Agreed. All right, we got through kind of our top 30. Hope you enjoyed that bonus bantering. There's a lot more we could have talked about. I didn't get to talk about Rafe Schlesinger. I didn't get to talk about Will Dion or Doug Nikhazy or Aiden Major, who's my number 43 prospect. I actually really like Aiden Major. Garrett, I'm sorry.
Big change from draft day.
Yeah, I actually came around on him. Maybe we'll explain that another time. Bennett Thompson, 46 for me. That's my other catcher in the top 50. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and check us out on Tuesday for our normal episode, and then hopefully that'll include some Guardians trades because that'll be after the trade deadline. We'll see.
Yep. So this gives you, if you're a fan of the Guardians, hey, hope you enjoyed it. If you're a fan of another team, hey, I hope you learned something about your newest prospect. Thank you again for joining us, rating and reviewing, downloading. It helps. Thank you to all of our everydayers like John and David, who are always super kind, and Zeev, and go Guardians go.